All right, boys. I'm just too sad to say anything. I know you guys are saying like, Blue, what exactly? It's not like he really had anything, but it's like he was still unbanned from like some places. Like obviously getting banned from your local scene is bad, but he still had like support. Like when that happened, he had support from like a lot of people who wanted to see him return. And there was always like the possibility, you know, along with the fact that there were still places that had him unbanned. He had several players support. Like yeah, I don't think he was ever gonna get unbanned. But at least he still had like the good graces of the community, and he still had some places that let him play. Like even if he lost a big one in NYC. Hack should get a exactly, dude. He just doesn't understand. Like even if you like, I agree with a lot of, not I don't know about a lot of, but like a good portion of the points he makes. But it's like this video just he does not. I don't think he understands like how to make his arguments. Yeah, let's say that there was a 1% chance of getting unbanned prior to this video. Now it's dropped to 0. Like places that had him unbanned still are now banning him because of this video. That's what pisses me off. Oh my god. It's like this just isn't okay. Should we get into this? Let's just rip the band-aid off. Let's get into the video.
Hi everyone, it's Hax. I'm producing what will probably be my final video on this subject, as I've narrowed things down to the most important information that I need.
Also, I wanna mention this before we get into this video that me and like a bunch of other people were like asking, hey, you're dropping a video, let us see it first before you post it, so that way we can review it, like, you know, correct any issues.
You gotta get vaccinated, dude.
Yo, Apple, thanks for the 17 months.
Get vaccinated.
But yeah, like he had so many people like ask like, hey, can we check it out before you post it, so that way we can like take out any sort of like problematic like wording or like fix some of the arguments, that kind of stuff. Okay, Apple, we'll see in the second half, all right? If in the second half they fall apart, then oh, okay. But as for right now, let's hold off.
You gotta get vaccinated.
Yeah, thanks,
dude.
Rooster, for the member.
You gotta get vaccinated.
The membership. But yeah, if Lamar falls off in the second half, then I'll give the apology, Apple. But as of right now, let's save that for then. But anyways, we asked to like peer review this, and he just ignored us completely. Did not show us this video at all before we posted it. He posts it. The response is as you'd expect. And it's not even a well-structured video. That's the problem. It's not even a good video. And even though I don't really disagree with many of the points in it, it's just not a good video. Like, let's just play it.
Share with
Let's just play
people.
it.
As I emphasized last week, I'd appreciate if the evidence in this video could be given a fair review that isn't tainted by anything I released several years ago. I know for a fact that I'm in possession of evidence that's important to organize properly so that the general public can see the truth about what happened within the Smash community back during a time period when things weren't so clear. I'll look to keep everything concise and straightforward. This video will look to address a major issue that can still be seen on social media today, which are the murmurs of a conspiracy within the Smash community. I'm partially responsible for people hearing these murmurs, as can be seen in these tweets which mention my name. I'll be very clear about what this conspiracy entailed. Within the summer 2020 Me Too movement, it's true that Leffen and Jisoo conspired to remove the player Zero from the Smash community with the intention of personal gain. 5 months later, Leffen manipulated the film director Samox into removing all traces of evidence.zip from the metagame documentary. Evidence.zip is a...
See, this is problem number one. Is that a lot of times when he's making these videos, he's like trying to just brute force his opinion, like his thoughts, and he does this all the time with like his like 1.03 videos, his like box videos about people wanting to ban the box, or like with the proper controller fixes or whatever. Like, he's always like so stubborn in just his opinion, and he doesn't want to like engage with the other side's arguments and try to craft his around their concerns or arguments. And it's more than that, because this isn't like Samox literally this weekend posted like responding to this argument saying, no, it was not. Okay, let me bring this up so that way you guys see what I'm saying. Hey y'all, with hacks in the news again, my name has also been coming up, and I'd like to clear the air with regards to metagame. Those clips I cut from the original premiere that started hacks on this whole thing, I couldn't use those clips even if I wanted to, because the guy in them threatened to sue me if I didn't remove them. I didn't mention it at the time because I didn't want to bring more attention to him. That's why he wanted them removed, but at this point, I'm just over it. It's like, dog, he said this literally, what day was that? That was Thursday. Yeah, he literally said this just a few days ago. It's like, you're not going to account for this or like address this at all. You're just going to be like, nope, Leffen did this. Like, obviously, Leffen had to have played some part in it. Like, maybe like a 5%, like him, like, obviously, to act like Leffen didn't play any role in the clips getting removed, or like Leffen saying like, oh, this is slander, and like, I guess pressuring Samox. Obviously, he didn't, he played some role, but he wasn't like the sole reason, and arguably not even the main reason. Perhaps he didn't know. Okay, but that's the problem. Yeah, you're right. He could have mentioned that earlier, but at this point, when this came out several days ago, this statement came out several days ago, and you're still not going to, like, you just don't address it at all in this video. Like, you're still not going to acknowledge that, hey, like, again, that's what pisses me off. Anyways.
A lengthy expose about Leffen that was compiled in 2013, which can be used to observe the truth about the conspiracy. This sequence of events is notable because most of it was indiscernible back when it was actively happening. However, I unavoidably witnessed it due to the evidence in my possession. The portion of this crime which involved Leffen and Jisoo conspiring was eventually covered by the content creator Technicals on June 25, 2021. Technicals published a video called The Truth Behind the Sky House on that date, which raised these allegations and revealed considerable amounts of proof of Jisoo's guilt. Something a lot of my friends failed to understand during this time period was why I refused to back down on the fact that Technicals was correct. At the time, I didn't know that he was someone who had a bad reputation within the Smash community, but regardless, I would never let a bad reputation prevent me from recognizing that someone is speaking the truth. The reason I knew that these allegations were true was because I'm in possession of evidence.zip. As I explained last week, evidence.zip is a lengthy expose that was written about Leffen back in 2013. Whenever evidence.zip gets brought up to the newer generation, people almost always say that it couldn't possibly be relevant anymore due to how old it is. However, I'd argue that couldn't be further from the truth. If evidence.zip wasn't relevant, then Leffen wouldn't be going as far as to censor documentaries such as Metagame in order to conceal it. This video will show how I witnessed this conspiracy through the lens of the evidence.zip testimonies. I'd argue that this conspiracy was a lot more elaborate than anyone else in the community could have told you, as the Metagame documentary was doctored 5 months afterward in order to wipe every trace of these testimonies. The truth about evidence.zip was then replaced with an episode which doesn't mention it at all. The allegations I just raised are the two main ones that are listed as defamation charges in my Melee community ban statement. As I've expressed many times, the original video I produced several years ago had poor optics, and so I don't fault anyone for failing to recognize the truth behind these two statements. However, both of them are true. The reason I want people to know this is not only for the sake of proving my own innocence, but also because I feel guilt whenever I see tweets which express confusion over this subject. If you type in the words Leffen Jisoo on Twitter, for example, you'll find a lot of tweets which mention that their actions went unnoticed within the Smash community, or that people can't tell whether or not their conspiracy was something that actually happened. Some people even seem to think that I'm the one to blame in this situation. This video will look to resolve this mass confusion. In terms of why I believe this video is important to preserve as a public record, it's mainly for the sake of showing how extensively Leffen manipulated the general public during that time period. I would recommend disregarding Jisoo and Zero as entities almost entirely when viewing this video, as their actions and roles are unimportant in comparison to Leffen's. I've been in the Smash scene since 2005, and I can safely say that what Leffen did within the span of those 11 months constituted the most elaborate manipulation to ever take place in the community's history. I hope that community leaders see why it's virtually an obligation for me to provide this video as a witness account.
Oh my god!
Without
Yo,
further
Michael,
ado,
thanks for
I'll
the
proceed to
five.
explain the crime Leffen committed. In order to refresh people's memories,
Alright, so this is we're about to get into the meat and potatoes, and this is my problem with the video, is that instead of, like, when you make claims like, okay, Leffen did this because X, Y, and Z, right? Or Leffen's evil because X, Y, and Z, those claims need to stand on their own merit. Like, he keeps trying, every single piece of, like, proof for that Leffen is acting maliciously is evidence.zip. But it's like, it should be able to stand on its own merit without having to be like, oh, well, when he was a kid, he did such and such and such. It's like, first of all, you're taking something that happened over 10 years ago and then trying to apply it to modern day, which, first of all, that could work if you approached it from the lens of, okay, he did all this stuff back then, and you're trying to prove that he hasn't changed since then. If that's the way you try to tackle it, I think you can do that. That's what I tried to do in my video. But when you're trying to prove, but when you're doing that, those claims still need to stand, like, on their own merit. You should be able to, like, for example, the HBox thing, right? You shouldn't have to connect it to evidence.zip to have a point. If you're trying to, if you're trying to convince that, okay, Leffen was acting maliciously during the HBox thing, it should be able to stand without mentioning Leffen being malicious during evidence.zip. You should be able to prove that it should just be apparent that Leffen's in the wrong. You shouldn't have to be like, well, back 10 years ago when he did this thing, like when he was like evil or whatever, and now he's still like that no. Yeah, Luigi Lon, I tried to explain that to him for like you don't understand how long I've had to explain that to him, that this would not work. This would turn people against him. Like, literally after this most recent thing with his original ban appeal, and it got him banned from NYC, he had like so much support when that happened. He had so much support. And now it's just all gone down the drain. It's like, I mean, if you want to just, if this is like your last like video, like you're done with Smash, it's like, okay, cool. But it's like at the end of this video, he's still like, I want to be viewed as innocent. Please view me as innocent, exonerate me. It's like, first of all, okay, we'll get into that, but just, he has no clue how to make these videos. He has no clue what he's doing. I don't even think he understands the cases he's talking about. I don't think he understands, like, the whole Leffen Jisoo thing. And it just makes people like me in tech look worse. Like, he makes us look worse because he doesn't know how to explain this shit. Dude, honestly, what way of presentation would hacks have to have to use in order? Not this, at the very least. This is not good. Forget TOs. There's a reason why this video has a terrible like to dislike ratio, but like videos like mine or text don't. Forget TOs. Like, the general public doesn't agree with these videos that he's making. They consistently get dunked on. He's not, like, you're saying like, okay, but how is he supposed to convince TOs? This isn't gonna do that to anyone. This isn't gonna convince anyone. This is just a poorly made video. All right, let's continue.
A recap of what the general public saw during the relevant time period. In the summer of 2020, the Smash community was shocked to find out that many of its members were sexual predators. The Me Too movement, which emerged that year, saw the removal of
he's probably
well-known
just
members
done
of the community. Back then, the grieving masses looked to community leaders to comfort them during difficult times. Leffen emerged as the most prominent leader during this time period through a series of tweets which were well received and had a high amount of interactions. He then posted a YouTube video on July 2nd, 2020, which would end up receiving nearly 1 million hits. This video was met with unanimous approval. Later that day, Leffen thanked everyone for listening to him and advised people to continue.
You should have seen that this was coming after the ban statement. Okay, but he could have also done something else. Like, he could have done... Like, okay, if he was done playing Smash, he didn't have to make this video and throw away all goodwill he would have had otherwise. Like, I don't understand why you'd want to do that. Yeah, I know this isn't the first time he hasn't taken advice. And that's what pisses me off. It's like, I literally told him what the outcome would be with this video. And then it happened. Like, he ignores me. It happens. It's like, he doesn't understand, like, how to make these videos well enough to do this stuff. Does he have any goodwill left? After this last video, there were so many, like, Aklo was like, I disagree with the banning. Django, who was, I don't know if he's still with NYC, but he disagreed with it. Two Saints straight up tweeted out, #unban hacks. I think Dark Genix also was against it. Swooper. Like, there are people in his corner. Even IBDW, although he gave like a long like post, he made a long post about it and said like, yeah, I don't agree with a permaban. So it's like, people look at this and are like, yeah, like, they're giving hacks like some leeway, some goodwill. And then he just throws it all out the window. Like, he could have actually maybe, there was a slim chance, but maybe undo any of this damage. Undo the whole permaban with no appeal. Or at least get unbanned elsewhere. And now there are places that unbanned him before that still had him unbanned even after the NYC thing. And now they're banning him now because of this. It's like he doesn't understand the bigger picture. Yeah, there's no strategy. It's just he's given up and he's just gonna post this. And it's not even a well-made video. So let's go into this. Okay. So his proof is that, okay, Leffen made a tweet at a time, okay?
Listening to those who were brave enough to come forward. He then signed off of social media at 7:38 p.m. EST. Jisoo came forward 32 minutes later with a set of allegations against Zero. Early the next morning, Leffen released a twitlonger in which he advised people to support Jisoo's allegations. Within Leffen's twitlonger, he provided a testimony which included a story that took place during Apex 2013 in order to further Jisoo's credibility. Things escalated from there, and Zero was eventually deemed guilty and cancelled. Leffen was heavily involved in Zero's removal from the community, as can be seen in this interaction. Something to note is that Zero was accused by a separate party named Katie during the Me Too movement. This meant that Zero's removal from the community was perceived as being
I still think Hacks is right, but if he either wants to be part of the community and aligns with the rules, or he just leaves the community because he doesn't agree with... Yeah, like, at some point, you need to just let it go and give up, but he can't do that. And it's like, he's not... That's the problem. I don't think he's posting this. Like, he says in the video, like, I don't think he's posting this to be like, yeah, I'm done with this community. He's, like, I think he's trying to appeal it. Like, he literally says, like, I want to be viewed as innocent and, like, exonerated and, like, to come back and be a functioning member of this community. And it's like, dog, this is the nail in the coffin. Like, if that's your goal, this is not going to accomplish that. I don't get how we can't see that. I just don't get it.
Justified for two reasons: his involvement with Katie and his involvement with Jisoo. 5 months later, Samox aired the metagame documentary on December 11, 2020. Leffen was quick to express that he was being defamed by the mentions of evidence.zip which took place during the second day of the broadcast. This led to Samox agreeing to censor evidence.zip related allegations from metagame. 4 months later, Samox returned on
Again, oh, whoops. Again, we already addressed this part.
evidence.zip
It wasn't just Leffen. The people in the clip wanted it removed as well. So
related allegations from
yeah.
metagame. 4 months later, Samox returned on April.
Although it is an important point that when faced with those clips that Leffen acted like they were defamatory, I think that is an important point to make, but it's like, again, like who?
April 24th, 2021, to announce that he'd be making it up to Leffen with a 9th episode titled Godslayer. That episode.
It's really confusing as to why he doesn't listen to either of you guys, knowing that each time you or Tech make videos, they are positive. Exactly, like, there is a reason why his videos have always been poorly received, but like, my video was not. And it's not like we make drastically different points. It's how we present them, the way we present them, what we present. It's like, there's a reason why his videos are poorly received to people outside of the Smash community. There's a reason why he's memed on for this. Yeah.
Episode would eventually air on June 5th, 2021. Samox would go on to win awards for his stellar work on the metagame documentary. Now I'll explain what I saw during that time period.
Warning, explicit content. Okay.
The true story actually began on February 9th, 2013. That was the day when Armada announced to Smashboards that Sweden would be banning Leffen for 1 year. At the bottom of Armada's post, it mentioned that there were private testimonies which contained sensitive information. I was the one who emailed these testimonies to Bobak Vakili 12 days later on February 21st, 2013. 3 days later, I contacted Mr. Wizard as well. Something notable that I told Mr. Wizard twice within our email chain was that I felt that Leffen would go on to commit crimes someday based on what I was reading. I said this to Mr. Wizard for a lot of reasons. One of them was the way in which Leffen had been pinned to the wall with evidence, yet refused to confess to anything. Another one was the testimony that was written by someone named Kaye Stromberg. Kaye's testimony...
Like, here's the problem with this, is like, when you present this to the Smash, or just in, not even just the Smash community, but just in general, like, Leffen was like, what, a teenager? He was like 17, 18? Like 16 even? It's like, yeah, of course he was acting like evil or whatever. Like, he was young. If he wants to try to prove that Leffen hasn't changed, like, the claim should stand on their own merit. You should be able to look at what Leffen is doing now and be like, yes, that is bad. It should be like on top of evidence.zip, this is happening. Not like, oh, evidence.zip proves that he's acting maliciously in this situation. It's like, what? No. Like, again, it needs to stand on its own merit. This is the one sentence in Mikey's document that I agree with, where he literally says, like, if he's gonna make these claims that Leffen is evil, they need to stand on their own merits. Like, that's true. That's literally true. I think this ties in with his ban appeal video, where he feels like he carries this burden of being the only .zip witness, and he feels obligated to view everything through that lens concerning Leffen. Yeah, exactly. Like, that happened years ago. It happened 10 years ago. And I think it's fair to argue, like, hey, has he changed since then? Has he grown since then? Personally, I don't really think so. But I don't need to cite evidence.zip to prove that. You know, in my video, I just said, okay, back in 2013, when he was like whenever years old, yeah, he did all this stuff back then. Stuff with Rocky and his hearing aid, Mike Hagar making fun of him. Yeah, and I mentioned, like, yeah, evidence.zip, this was a thing that happened. He was a toxic and terrible person back then. And then I've proved that he's continued, or at least attempt to prove, that he hasn't changed since then. But I wasn't relying on evidence.zip to be like, yeah, this proves it. This proves it. Like, no, I lay out what Leffen is doing wrong now, and even if evidence.zip didn't happen, even if it didn't happen, you take it out of the equation, you can still come to the conclusion that Leffen is a dickhead. You shouldn't need to rely on it. All right, let's continue.
Testimony contained an excerpt which always stuck out to me. It read, "We are in a community and in a scene that's being manipulated by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what Leffen and his sympathizers manipulate people into believing is going on and what's really going on is absolutely enormous. The vastness and level of psychological warfare Leffen exhibits toward his prospects is one of the most elaborate acts of vicious intent I've had the misfortune of witnessing firsthand. This ongoing torment his viciousness forces his prospects to endure, directly and indirectly by leaving them as sole beneficiary to all of the consequences his actions may cause, which is why they evidently always end up being the ones paying the price and taking its toll." This excerpt always stuck out to me because of how incredibly descriptive it is, and also because it felt like the description of a modus operandi. This will come into play later on. 7 years after evidence.zip was compiled, Leffen took the helm of the summer 2020 Me Too movement. I was the only person in possession of evidence.zip by that point, and so that left me as the only person in the community who could have easily interpreted his intentions. What I'll generally advise is that this YouTube video should either be banned or given an advisory.
Like, this is what I mean. You're saying his intentions are malicious because during evidence.zip he was malicious or whatever. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. You need to derive it from elsewhere, a different source to derive that from. You can't just be like, oh yeah, evidence.zip, he was toxic back then, and so he's toxic now. No, you need to derive it from something else. You can't rely on evidence.zip to be like, yeah, he, like, you can mention it and try to draw parallels, but that shouldn't be the only thing. That shouldn't be, like, the proof. It could be some of the proof. Or, like, it could be like, hey, Leffen did such and such. Like as I said before, you should be able to come to the conclusion that what Leffen is doing is wrong without evidence.zip. And then when you bring evidence.zip into it, you can then be like, okay, so has he changed since then? No, I don't think so. And that's how you should do it. You shouldn't be like, evidence.zip, he was malicious back then, and this proves that he's being malicious now. It's like, it literally doesn't. It literally doesn't. How did Twitter react to this video? Some of the places that still had him unbanned are banning him. Some of the players that gave him, like, some goodwill, completely, like, walked it back. And honestly, I don't blame them at all. You should just make those points for hacks. Dude, we tried to. That's the problem. We tried to. We tried to tell him, hey, like, hey, let us see this video first before you post it. He did not show it to us. And he just posted it. And it's like, if he was just saying, listen, I give up, I'm just gonna post this and then head out, like, see y'all. Like, that's one thing, but that's not what he's doing.
As Leffen lied.
No, I'm saying put out I've already done that. I've done that, like, several times over, trying to help this dude. Try to, like, make the arguments for him. I made a whole video with 1.5 million views. I made another video more recently, like, explaining why the ban is bad and why at this point they need to, like, reassess the ban and see if he's worth having at events again. I did like several live streams or 2 live streams this weekend, talking about it. It's just, yeah, I'm just
Throughout the entirety of it. The only lie you need to hear in order to know that is this one.
As things went on, I think I made a name for myself pretty quickly in the community, and I definitely did not do everything right. People know about the evidence.zip, and although I do not think that was deserved, like being banned for it.
The reason this lie makes no sense whatsoever is because Leffen doesn't even know what evidence.zip is in reference to. At the time Leffen told this lie, he knew that evidence.zip was a phrase used to describe his 2013 ban, but what he didn't know is that detailed testimonies corresponded with his ban back then. This gets much worse when you go into the testimonies and read what they said. The cover letter directly suggested that Leffen is a manipulator, a liar, and a threat to society. Nearly every other testimony in evidence.zip trickled down from this. For example, Carl's testimony alleged...
Like, okay, for example, he's saying, okay, he's a liar, narcissist, whatever, manipulator. So show him lying and manipulating now. Like, that should be your proof. It shouldn't be, oh, he's lying and manipulating, and my proof is that 10 years ago he did this stuff. That's not how you make an argument.
Alleged that Leffen is a chronic liar and narcissist to a sick degree, and that he was intent on ripping apart people's social lives and the entire Smash scene. From there, Leffen logged off of social media and advised people to keep believing in those who were brave enough to...
And the worst part is, he's probably gonna look at like the response to this and be like, oh, brainwashed community, I can't believe they can't see the truth. It's like, no, you're just bad at making videos. Like, you can't convince people outside the community. That's your problem. That's what I've been trying to explain to this dude. Like, he just doesn't get it.
Come forward. Jisoo then came forward with a set of allegations against Zero. Contrary to what the general public thought was going on at the time, this was a premeditated conspiracy. This is obvious based on excerpts such as...
This is what, like, you see what I mean? Instead of going to, like, oh, they spoke before they made the accusations, right? He's saying this was premeditated because 10 years ago, he premeditated this, whatever. He's like, he's constantly scheming to bring people who he dislikes, bring down people who he dislikes. And it's like, okay, cool. He did that how many years ago when he was how old? You need to prove that he's doing it now based off something else. And then once you've done that, then connect it to evidence.zip. Like, oh my god.
what has in the end...
It's like textbook. Slime was spitting. Slime, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I ever doubted you. You were right. This is like, yes, this is literally circular reasoning. This is like he's saying he's acting maliciously here because he used to be malicious back then, and that further proves that he's like it doesn't work. It just doesn't work when you're relying on this as your only source of proof. Like, focus on the other sources of proof, the fact that they talked before they dropped the allegations, and the fact that the allegations were false, the fact that he won't apologize for them, the fact that he was like ducking any sort of accountability or like conversation with the people he was accusing. Like, focus on that so that way the people watching can be like, yeah, Leffen's in the wrong here. And then after you've done that, then bring it back to evidence.zip to be like, here's a correlation of how he did this stuff in the past. Like, this isn't the first time he's done this sort of thing, but you need to prove that he's doing it now, and proving that he did it in the past doesn't do that. That's what sucks. He is right. Yeah, like I don't disagree with his points, but he's so bad at making them. It's like it blows my mind. How? And it's like he has people that would tell him this stuff if he just listened. If he just listened, but he doesn't want to.
Lowered my opinion of Leffen is his constant scheming to bring down people who he dislikes. It seems as though he constantly divides up people into winners and losers, friends and enemies, and...
Also, I don't think he understands, like, why TOs have him banned. They have him banned because they think that he's like a harassment like threat or like a violence threat towards Leffen, or like they don't, or something like that. Like they basically blame him for all the harassment and like death threats that Leffen's getting. And it's like he has no... I've been telling him since like day one, hey, you need to like condemn any sort of harassment, any sort of death threats. You need to like separate yourself from those, because if you never do that, you're not going to get unbanned. They're always going to have an excuse. And for whatever reason, he's done it once. Yeah, what's up, Tech? I just want him to stop making... Yeah, he literally messes this up for us. He doesn't understand the case. He doesn't understand how to make these videos. And then when you combine those two, it just makes everyone else talking about it look worse. Like, there's a reason why my video was like positively received, why your videos were positively received, and this is negatively received. Like, there's a reason for that. Like, it's not just, oh, TO's like brainwashed community. Because even outside the community, they disagree with you. Or they think your videos are bad. That's the problem. But you can't see that.
Viciously goes after the latter category with lies and other tactics whenever he gets an opportunity. There's also an excerpt which advises that Leffen will go to
Have you guys told him to stop? Yes, many times. That's what pisses
Carl's
me off.
testimony contains an example of how Leffen would do that. Carl alleged that at one point Leffen wrote up a pastebin full of lies and sent it around for people to read in order to hurt Carl's reputation. This is actually very similar to Jisoo's set of allegations.
Making 2 videos about other stuff, then might come back to thefranChise. Better hold it down so I can steal from it. Yo, don't worry, I got you.
Next, Leffen published a twitlonger which advised people to support Jisoo's allegations. Within the twitlonger, Leffen included many statements which were intended to manipulate the reader. The most glaring one was when he claimed that he wasn't intent on canceling Zero. This is clearly malicious.
And then he goes back to evidence.zip. It's like, why? Stop doing this. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. Like, how about mention the fact that in this document he says, I spoke to Jisoo before she made these allegations and told her if this is something she wants to go through with or not. That does more to prove your point than saying like, oh, an evidence.zip 10 years ago. It's like, oh my god, dude. Whoops.
Next, claimed that he wasn't intent on canceling Zero. This is clearly malicious if you know the truth about what Leffen did to Nicholas Ringberger. Nicholas Ringberger was the boy with the hearing aid who surely many people have heard of. Within his testimony, Nicholas alleged that Leffen would work to exclude him from the Smash community to the highest degree possible. Nicholas explained that in the summer of 2011, Leffen manipulated a friend of theirs into not inviting Nicholas to Smash Fests. Leffen also looked to prevent Nicholas from attending Apex 2012. At one point, Leffen even told Nicholas, good luck going to the upcoming tournaments in Norway and Finland unless you arrange your own trip there, since I alone completely decide who gets to travel in the car. These excerpts show that ostracism is Leffen's modus operandi, and so his twitlonger about Zero shouldn't have been trusted. The situation then escalated into an interaction which involved Zero DMing Leffen in order to try to figure out why he appeared to be acting with ulterior motives. Leffen blocked Zero immediately after seeing this. This is corroborated by an excerpt from Kai Stromberg's testimony which reads, I've tried contacting and talking to Leffen on several occasions without any result, but with a pounding heart I wasn't going to take no for an answer, and after having reached out several times just to be dismissed and ignored, he realized I wasn't giving in to his hatred, so he made a promise to contact me when he got the time for it. Sadly, this never happened, or shall I say, hasn't happened, because as you might understand, I still wish he would start opening up to people, talking with them and explaining his issues if there are any. But he seems to be less interested in keeping a healthy relationship with his prospects. In fact, it seems he thrives on making other people miserable by acting maliciously toward them, spreading false rumors and manipulating people into disliking them. He has changed the social atmosphere around people and the scene as a whole for the worse. He's caused undeserved hatred toward innocent people and solely managed to instigate people spreading this hatred around like wildfire. This excerpt perfectly explains Leffen's decision to refuse to speak with Zero. At this time, Zero's removal from the community was perceived as being justified for 2 reasons, his involvement with Katie and his involvement with Jisoo. However, Zero was only guilty of his involvement with Katie. He was simultaneously the target of an illegal conspiracy which was plotted by Leffen and Jisoo. Fast forward 5 months.
And his proof was 10 years ago, Leffen was mean. Like, that's literally what he's... That's literally... Like, you see why this is bad. Like, you have to see why this is like a poorly structured video. Like, poorly presented. Like, these arguments are just not good. They're not good. This is the problem with his original video. This is the problem with his videos from 2.5 years ago. It's like, how do you not recognize, like, how do you not listen to anyone's criticisms or advice?
and Samox aired the metagame documentary on December 11, 2020. From my perspective, the metagame documentary was notable for the footage that was played during the second day of the broadcast. There were originally mentions of some of the people who testified against Leffen in 2013 within this documentary. The glimpses metagame contained of the evidence.zip victims were brutally honest, which caught Leffen off guard. This led to him intervening by telling Samox that his coverage was defamatory. Samox had no choice but to succumb to the pressure he was faced with that
And
night.
again, we've already addressed this part. That wasn't the only. I'm not gonna act like this wasn't a reason. It definitely played a role in it. But it wasn't the only reason. It wasn't the main reason why he took it out. Obviously, someone in the clips just wanted them removed, and he removed them. But yeah, it's still a decent point to be like, oh, Leffen when faced with those clips of from the interviews that he acted like they were defamatory. Like, that's still a legitimate point to criticize Leffen for, that he acted like what happened was defamatory. But it's like, he wasn't solely responsible for Samox removing the clips from the documentary.
By agreeing to remove evidence.zip related allegations. Samox then came back 4 months later with an episode that would feature Leffen. That episode would air on June 5th, 2021. In my opinion, this episode should be banned, just like the Me Too video from 11 months prior, as it completely revises history. The episode doesn't contain any mentions of the testimonies I've shown you throughout this video, which could have been used to gain a lot of insight into the events that were going on within the Smash community during that time period. On September 9, 2022, Zero returned to announce that he'd resolved the lawsuit with Jisoo. Within Zero's video, he explained that Jisoo's allegations...
Like, this is my... He waits until how many minutes after... So he talks about how the whole Jisoo Leffen conspiracy, and then he waits till now to mention that Jisoo had to retract all her... Like, delete her whole document. Like, he didn't even mention that the allegations were false. He didn't even mention that. That's the most important part to the whole conspiracy theory. And you're not even going to mention that? You're just going to mention, oh, she retracted all the allegations after the lawsuit? It's like, you're not even going to mention... Like, how do you spent more time talking about evidence.zip than the fact that the allegation... Like, if you're going to try to argue that, okay, this was a malicious conspiracy, you'd think step one would be arguing that the allegations were false, right? You'd think that would be, like, that would be step one. Like, that's what you try to prove. Like, okay, the allegations are false, here's why. It's like he literally just can't let go of evidence.zip. And that's also my problem with this, is like I get he's banned and he has like no other, he feels like he has no other option. But at the same time, like, he's saying, like, I need to do, like, he kept DMing me about, like, how I need to do this for justice and, like, the sake of the community. And it's like, are you doing this for, like, to uphold justice, or are you doing this because you're banned and you want to get unbanned? Like, at some point, you need to be real with yourself, and that this is just being selfish.
had been retracted as part of a settlement. Zero's video also included a segment in which he described how Leffen targeted him during the 2020 Me Too movement.
Finally, to get this off my chest, I think Leffen is still the biggest perpetrator in my entire situation. He lied in a story to make me look worse in a critical moment, a story in which I have witnesses in person who were there to witness what actually happened. Witnesses who have made statements to say that Leffen was lying. And these are not random players. These are well-established top players in Japan. He also made a video that got over 1 million views, tarnishing my name and profiting off of it as well. He also tried to make himself sound as one of my great friends just to validate his claims further. And despite being somebody that at every single turn in this entire situation kept trying to bury me down, kept trying to make sure I was well below multiple feet underground, he still had the audacity to act as if he cared. When I made an attempt to take my life and I was in the hospital, he has the audacity to go on Twitter and make a comment and pretend he cared when he himself is one of the largest drivers to that scenario, getting as much bad attention and as big of a hate mob possible. And that is what all the tweets, all the videos, all the streams he made covering my situation. To this day, all he's done is ignore the situation.
Also,
He's
another,
never offered.
if you want to prove that like Leffen exploited Me Too, how about mention the fact that like in his stream he added a command like !hero, and it was a whole like copy pasta of him being like, I am not a hero. The real heroes are the like victims who spoke up. But it's like, why write that about yourself? Why be like, oh yeah, people shouldn't call me a hero, and then put that as like a command in my chat? Like, that's so weird. That feels narcissistic to be like, just in case people call me a hero, I'm gonna write up this whole thing about how I'm not a hero, and then let them like see it. Like that, like why? Like that's a better argument than anything Hacks presents in this video. That's the part that pisses me off.
Any type
Like
of
he presents the wrong stuff. He brings the wrong stuff to the table.
remorse or any type of apology whatsoever. And he even went as far as signing over his false story as evidence against my legal matters.
This excerpt from Zero's video brings things back to Kai
Yo,
Stromberg's
what's up,
testimony,
IGP?
which I
Yeah,
mentioned.
he actually, wait, let me see if I can find it, because it's so funny that he put ! Hero as let me see what the score of the game is. See, Hacks ruined my NFL Sunday. That's the biggest crime. I just wanted to sit back, watch some football, and now I can't do that. Evidence.zip2. I think it was in evidence.zip2.
Snowy White.
But it's so funny. And he put hero. ! Hero. Hero. Where is it? Come on. Okay, no, this was okay. Where is it? Where is it? No, where is it? Command. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Oh no, not this. This isn't it. Where is it? I swear, if somebody knows where it is, could they link it? Oh my god. Leffen hero chat command. Please tell me this is. Come on. Oh yeah, he also. Okay, let's hold up. Let's watch this.
Spread, Leffen quickly implemented chat commands in preparation for them. He wanted to leverage Me Too as hard as possible by not only taking the helm, but also by taking out both of the people whose social media followings rivaled his. All in all, that scenario. Leffen even doubled down 3 years later when Metagame aired by bringing up my issues again.
Oh, this isn't it. Oh my god, where is it? It was so funny too. Let me see. Which no. Oh man, I can't find it. Yeah, the ! Hero command. Maybe, yeah, you're right. Maybe. Hold on. I found it. Here it is. Okay. I am not a hero. I'm just a person who did my part. The real heroes are the ones that spoke up despite knowing the harassment they would face. I do appreciate the compliments, but please make sure you get some perspective on who really did the hard part here. Why did he put this in here? Why did he write this? Like in his chat. Why would you intentionally put that there? Exactly. Like, dude acting like everybody is calling him a hero. I am not a hero. We know. Oh my god. Like, present this. This is the proof you should be leveraging. This is what you should, if you want to, like, nail Leffen, this is what you should leverage against him. Okay, back to this.
Mentioned earlier on. Kai's testimony explained that there tends to be a chasm between what Leffen and his sympathizers manipulate people into believing is going on and what is really going on. This excerpt practically foretold what would happen to the Smash community during the Me Too movement. In case you're wondering how Leffen handled the droves of people who flocked to him after the situation was blown open by technicals, he simply mass blocked them until they gave up. This clip shows that he would quite literally ban people from his stream if they even dared to mention the situation. Victor Johansson explained this many years ago when he wrote, Leffen has on several occasions edited or removed his own posts in order to embellish himself, which clearly shows that he's a dishonest person. Leffen also mass manipulated social media platforms such as Reddit when he advised people not to trust in technicals. If you read the comments underneath Leffen's Me Too video today, there are many people who express the importance of seeking out the factual truth, and not blindly trusting in people just because you feel an emotional attachment to them. In this case, it's true that the Smash community should have trusted technicals, not Leffen. The consequences this conspiracy had on the community are fairly extreme. When I made a tweet in October which suggested that I miss being able to attend big events, there were some polar opposite responses to it. One response suggested that I shouldn't be allowed to come back until I apologized to Leffen and Jisoo in more detail. Another response suggested that Leffen doesn't deserve anything because of the conspiracy he and Jisoo orchestrated. As usual, there's an excerpt from evidence.zip which explains this divide. Nicholas Ringberger's testimony explained that Leffen's lies have on multiple occasions caused other Smashers to become angry with each other. In some cases, he's even manipulated people into hating each other. This is very unsafe when applied to someone who has 300,000 followers on social media. The entire Smash community failed to gauge Leffen's intentions correctly during the Me Too movement which took place a few years ago. This led to community outlets blasting me for interpreting his intentions correctly, which contributed to how I was expelled from the community.
It's like, how are you gonna say I discern, like, what did he say?
Intentions correctly, which took place a few years ago. This led to community outlets blasting me for interpreting his intentions.
Interpreting his intentions correctly. Like, how are you gonna, like, you say that as if you just presented, like, some ironclad case that, like, and this is somehow gonna get him unbanned. Wait, let me find my DMs with this dude. Find this. Yeah, I can't find it. Yeah, I was telling this dude, like, this isn't gonna work. Honestly, IDK, if he even is trying to get unbanned now, no, like, that's okay. We're about to get into it. Like, he literally asked to, like, be exonerated at the end.
Correctly, which contributed to how I was expelled from the community. Now that I've provided the two perspectives, I'd like to conclude the video with some final thoughts of mine. 1. I maintain that I'm innocent and that my ban statement should be fully revoked.
See, he literally, like, this is his appeal. Like, he's trying to appeal his ban with this.
I'm also not to be viewed or treated as a cancelled person. I suppose this is the biggest one. I've proven that I'm not guilty of the 2 primary defamation charges that are listed in my ban.
He's proven it by... Oh my god, like, dude. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
Did in fact commit the 2 acts of malice that I've been alleging for years. 2. Please reconsider why I would have done this. Throughout my career, I made a lot of contributions to the community. I did not pivot from making contributions to committing an act of malice, contrary to what I may have led people to believe. I also didn't choose to gamble my career after this many years for no reason. My reasoning for going after Leffen is complicated. I'd been in possession of detailed testimonies which were written about him ever since I was a teenager. The testimonies warned that he had torn apart his local community with lies at a young age, and that he would one day do the same to society on a broader scale. This unavoidably left me with the responsibility to monitor his actions and decide on when to intervene. 3. I intervened at the right time but in the wrong way. I was right about the fact that I had seen enough by the summer of 2021 to know that it was time to say something. However, I was tasked with a difficult obligation at the relatively young age of 26. I was also under a lot of stress and in the middle of an alcohol problem, as I've confessed. I don't think I could have done a poorer job than I did on what I originally produced, but hopefully people see why I viewed this as an obligation now that the case has been refined. 4. I'm willing to forgive anyone who doubted my intentions or made fun of me. I don't deny that I dug my own hole and misconstrued the situation to a strong degree through my original release. I don't fault anyone for doubting me or making fun of me for it. It'd be really appreciated if that could be reciprocated with some forgiveness.
Yeah, I found the messages with Hex. Hold up. No, where is it? Okay, never mind.
5. I view it as being mandatory that the contents of this video are ruled true by the community and its leadership, and that this video...
It's mandatory that this be viewed as true. Like, this dude is... Like, this is not how you appeal.
Video is preserved as a record of proof that Leffen mass manipulated...
Okay, so hold up. Let me go back. So we have, I maintain that I'm innocent, that my ban should be fully revoked. Yeah, let's see how that goes. Please reconsider why I would have done this. I intervened at the right time, but in the wrong way. Okay, sure, I guess. I'm willing to forgive anyone who doubted my intentions or made fun of me. Okay. I view it as being mandatory that the contents of this video are ruled true by the community and its leadership, and that this video is preserved as a record of proof that, like, there is no proof in this video. That's the problem that I'm trying to get through your head. There's no proof in this video. It's literally just you going back like 10 years ago, being like, Leffen was mean, and now, like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, he doesn't actually produce the evidence to try to prove his case. That's why everyone calls him an idiot. That's why you're banned. That's why people don't listen to you. That's why the video's received this way. There is a reason why every other video about Leffen is positively received. There's like received better than this.
5. I view it as being...
Yeah, you're also right. Like, he's in an impossible predicament. So it's not like he has many options, but when you have so many people telling you that this is the worst option to pick, and he just ignores them, uploads this video, it backfires like everyone predicted. That's the problem.
mandatory that the contents of this video are ruled true by the community and its leadership.
Okay, what else?
Was not
intended to condone Zero's actions, okay? I believe that the best outcome, all factors considered, is for neither me nor Leffen to be banned, but for Leffen to be found guilty of everything described in this video. Okay? Again, I'm not gonna repeat myself. And, this video did not constitute harassment or defamation in any way, shape, or form. Here's the problem. Okay, here's the problem with this. Inherently, when you make a video disparaging someone, there are always going to be a small percentage of the people who watch it and then take things too far. So saying, okay, this doesn't constitute harassment, like, I'm not going to say it constitutes defamation, but you did a terrible job of, like, substantiating your points. But to act like it's not going to, like, lead to harassment, like, you have to be smart enough to know that. That's why you put a disclaimer, like, hey, my intention is not to harass, my intention is not to cause death threats, I just want to, this is still my opinion, and I feel it necessary to, like, discuss this in a video. Like, that's why you add, like, in my video, I add a disclaimer. Hold up. I created this video not intending to attack anyone. I do not condone any acts of harassment done to the people mentioned. However, I believe all the criticisms present in this video are valid and essential to discuss if we truly want to grow as a community. Thank you. Like, obviously, I know if I'm going to make a video titled Leffen, a Liar and a Fraud, that I need to go out of my way to make sure that I say, hey, I don't condone any sort of harassment or death threats. So to act like this doesn't, yeah, obviously, I don't think this constitutes harassment or defamation, but it's like, it's going to lead to harassment, so you should at least try to distance yourself from it in a better way. This, like, what kind of sentence is this? Who puts this in their videos? Oh, why is my video muted in the middle? I explained this on my last live stream, but basically what happened this summer was, my video got, so first my video got age restricted, and it was like a BS thing. So I had to, like, edit some parts out to try to appeal it, because they rejected my appeal. I appealed it through YouTube. On Twitter, I tried to appeal, it didn't work. So I edited out some parts to try to get it approved, and it ended up working. But what happened was, one of the songs that I used in one of the beats that I used in the Shinkensu portion, after I made my video, someone then bought the beat and then made a song with it. So when the edits finished processing, it got copyright claimed. So then I had to mute that portion of the video to release the claim. So yeah, that's also why the diss track part's been removed. Yeah.
Not constitute harassment or defamation in crimes involving social connected evidence.
Okay, this video concludes the Hacks Leffen saga. Alright, let's see how long that lasts. Okay. My highest priorities are to go back to being a competitor and contributor. It would be in the best interest of the community to fully reinstate me, as I was always of benefit and acting in good faith. Like, this is what I mean. Like, if he was just saying, okay, I give up, I'm done with this game, and I'm posting this video, and whatever, like, okay, fine, but he's clearly trying to come back. This is, like, he's trying to appeal it. And if he's trying to appeal it, there were so many other better ways to do that. Let me look at the score of the game. Oh my god, the Ravens are super close. Oh my god, the Ravens are super close. Oh, I want to watch the end of the game. There's just 2 minutes left. It's like, I just don't understand what this accomplishes. And I tried to tell him that, but he doesn't want to listen. He just does not want to listen. What's up, Yelfar? I just woke up. How over is it? It's over. Go back to sleep. Yeah. Let's see what the ratio is now. Yeah, it's like there is a reason. There's a reason why this video is poorly received. He also lost like 100 subs. There's a reason why this video was poorly received. Like, this is the like ratio, but the like ratio on this is a lot better. Let me remove this. Like, look at this ratio. Didn't Hacks apologize? Yeah, that's also the problem. I'm like, you can't be apologizing to Leffen and like everyone and then drop something like this. That doesn't work. Oh, what happened in the game? Hold up. Let me mute the audio. Wow, how's it Chiefs? It's Chiefs ball. Dang. That's incredibly unfortunate. Yeah, they need a first down to win. That sucks. All right, let me turn the music back on. Ravens fan? I'm a Saints fan, but I want the Ravens to win. Yeah, it just pisses me off. Like, Leffen was saying how he didn't want any kind of public apology, but had all his private messages / emails closed. Yeah. I think Hacks' best option was just to shut up and let others... Yes, he literally had so many people willing to, like, back him up and, like, vouch for him to return and be like, look, he's not a threat to anyone. Like, he should be allowed to compete. Like, I disagree with the NYC permanently banning him. It's like, if he wanted to appeal, he could have done that so many other ways. So I don't understand why he would drop this video and then be like, I want to return to competing. He just doesn't get it. Just doesn't. Alright, it's 3rd and 9. I'm watching the game as I'm ranting about Smash. Could you imagine if they turn around and are like, you know what, Hacks, you're right, and just reinstate? That's what he thought would happen. I kid you not, that's what he thought would happen. He thought just that magically they would just believe him. Even though he's literally doing the exact same thing he did before, and they didn't listen to him. And he acts like now, magically, they're going to... You think Hacks will delete this video? Absolutely. It's not a good video. But he knows best. Okay, Chiefs, he's going long. And he caught it. Wow. Valdez-Scantling actually caught the ball. Alright. GG's. Apple, I don't know if you're still watching. You were right. Let me pull up Discord. What do you think Hacks can do at this point? Nothing. And I really don't care. Because it's like when I can give him all the advice in the world, but if he's not going to listen to it... Like, we've given him so much advice. Like, we've told him, hey, do this, don't do this. Let us review this before you post it. He just doesn't care. It's why I don't really feel bad for this. It's like, at this point, we've tried to help him. And he didn't. Anyone made sure he's okay? Like, we've tried to talk to him, no response. It's just unfortunate. It's like I get, like, okay, he's in an impossible predicament where, like, he's in limbo. If he tries to appeal the ban privately, they don't listen. If he does it publicly, it just results in worsening the situation. Like, I get he's in a tough predicament, but you also have to understand, like, my perspective. Like, I'm trying to give him advice. I'm trying to help him. And when he ignores my advice, does something that I say, like, hey, this is bad, this is not gonna work, this is just gonna make things worse, you don't listen, you do it anyways, the exact result that I said, like, this would happen, happens, and now, like, I can't feel bad for you. I literally cannot feel bad for you. Did you read the head TO of NYC's document detailing his thoughts and reason? Nah, he has me blocked. Let me see if I can find it. Let's read this. Let's read this together. Okay. Writing out my personal reasons behind the hack's decision, just want to clarify that this is reflective of my thoughts. I'm sure there is some overlap with the rest of NYC Melee staff, but I do not want to speak on their behalf. Bars. I also won't be doing a TLDR because this is a pretty complicated situation, and as you can see from the original statement, there's not really an easy way to sum it up. I might go over various points / questions I saw a lot though at the bottom. Oh, I might go over various points and questions I saw a lot though at the bottom of this. Okay, that's just a poorly written sentence. This is like the head TO for NYC Melee, Hax's local scene that banned him. Initially, after the specific incident, I was actually on the side of another warning. I've seen a lot of comments saying this itself shouldn't warrant a permanent ban, and if this was a unique and isolated incident, I would agree. After talking to the rest of the staff, however, and acknowledging their experiences of having dealt with hacks for much longer of a time than I have in an administrative sense, I joined NYC Melee staff at the end of 2022 and became head TO middle of 2023. I was convinced to vote for a permanent ban. Hacks' video before Big House by itself violated at least one of the clauses. We did not want to ban him for that though. After seeing his apology, even though it wasn't a strong one, we did hope it indicated that he was acknowledging the power and effect of his actions, intentional or not, and would lead him to not repeat that mistake. His mistake, by the way, is apologizing to Leffen, and it led to death threats. That's the mistake he made, and like understanding like unintentionally what would happen. Okay. Before that video and afterwards, many parties tried to convince Hacks to either not post his videos publicly, and instead directly reach out to major TOs. I mean, he's done that. Or at the very least run it by someone first to make sure it didn't violate terms and just do a better job of helping his case. Unfortunately, Hacks either dismissed that idea or did not take the advice from players whom he shared them with before making them public, which led us to the most recent video. Okay. Latest video was a definite backslide from his previous one. A vast majority of it was focused on Leffen and also unsealed private documents, plus revealing full legal names of the people who wrote the transcripts. I mean, these were already public. He released these testimonies without permission, and also unlisted or deleted previous videos where he had apologized to Leffen. With all these videos and actions, it felt like, to me, he was throwing apologies at the wall and seeing what stuck. Now though, it wasn't just a change in tactics, it felt like he was making a U-turn in his approach and losing the progress we had hoped he made. I do not believe Hacks himself encouraged the threats or harassment against others, but whether intentional or not, when your consistent actions have consistent consequences, it's up to you to correct that or to plain stop those. Okay, I could understand that if he was disparaging Leffen, but he wasn't disparaging Leffen. That's my problem. Like, when he brought up .zip in that ban appeal video, it didn't feel like he was leveraging it against Leffen to be like, yeah, Leffen's a bad person. It felt more like he was giving insight and context to his previous actions to try to be like, this is what I was thinking, this is what I was going through at the time, and I'm sorry that it did that. Like, he wasn't disparaging Leffen, so I don't think it's fair to be like, to attribute the threats and harassment to him, and not just that. Like, the people who make those threats and harassment have free will. It's not like Hacks just, like, mind controls them. And it's not even like he directed them to do that stuff. Like, he was literally apologizing. Anyways. At the end of the day, if NYC Melee doesn't act on its word in enforcing the rules we set into place, we are arguably enabling this type of behavior. Again, this is such a Mickey Mouse, like, ticky-tack, like, enforcing of the rules. That's the problem. He would constantly use our unban as a sign of his progress, but when he starts violating the clauses we set into place, that just doesn't make sense anymore? What? He would constantly use our unban as a sign of his progress. Oh, so he's trying to say, okay, so I've been bettered. I'm bettering myself. Here's NYC as unbanning me as an example. But him violating the clauses is... Okay, first of all, you're saying he violated the clauses, but he didn't violate clause 1, even though you say he did. It's just they were dumb rules to begin with. Okay. Like I said, initially I wanted to do another warning, but it was pointed out to me by other staff members after multiple years that he had been warned, bartered with, pleaded with, etc, 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 over and over again. There was no sign of significant growth and no reason for us to believe that there would be one after X amount of time. To us, it felt like he proved that he didn't have it in him to get over this. If we slid back to an indefinite ban, I think that would be even worse. It's half the reason there was so much chaos with this thing in the first place, because there was no concrete path on a national level for Hacks to follow to get unbanned. That's also true. I do acknowledge that on the national level, the path was not clear at all for him. I truly wish there was some sort of statement from national TOs outlining some sort of path of return for him, but unfortunately, okay, you said that phrase like 3 times in a row, alright. But unfortunately, the way the tournament scene works right now, that would have been nearly impossible. Ever since the dissolution of the Code of Conduct panel, which outlined things like this, there has not been a central TO organizational speaking body since. I'm sure some TOs wanted to keep Hacks permanently banned, and some would be open to him returning, but it all fell under the blanket of indefinite, which made it harder for Hacks. I'm pretty confident through that, though, that these videos weren't helping Hacks in the first place. That is just speculation on my end. I want to end this by saying this was not an easy decision for any of us to make. I mean, the way some of your TOs spoke about it, they were like 100% support this decision, but okay. And really felt like a lose-lose situation for everyone. When he was initially unbanned from NYC Melee, it was a unanimous, all except for one person, that last person not even being a part of our latest decision. This latest decision had a majority from that group, and the entire discussion was near unanimous on a permanent ban. These are people who have viewed Hacks as a personal friend over the years and have been saddened by this trajectory this whole thing has taken. I mean, a lot of it is influenced by you guys. You need to understand that. Like, a lot of his decisions were also based off of your decisions and how you can conduct yourselves. That's something you need to understand. You can't just be like, oh, we're sad about the trajectory that this has taken, when you, like, basically set the launch angle and, like, some of the criteria he needed to, like, get unbanned, which played into his decision making over these years. I think the easy decision on our end would be to just issue yet another warning and keep kicking the rock down the road. We wouldn't have had to face any real backlash like we did, but I truly believe now that would not have been the right decision to make. Isn't Clause 1 and Clause 1 and 2 effectively barring Hacks from talking about his ban? How is that fair? Okay, in our prior statement, which took effect... Oh, that's his reference. Okay. These clauses were written because it had been shown repeatedly with Hacks' initial videos and their re-releases that the public backlash from his toxic fan base was proving threatening and harmful every time he released something. Death threats were thrown in public and in private DMs, stalking, etc. I do not believe for a moment Hacks himself encouraged this type of behavior, but whether intentional or not, when you're okay, he says that. So I already said that before. These were written to bar that from happening again, but did not stop him from contacting TOs in private. In fact, we encouraged him to reach out in private, believing it would also just be more effective in general. We also didn't enforce it on any of the apology videos he made before Big House. For Big House and this most recent one, it felt like he was going back to what got him banned in the first place and was reckless. Again, like, the problem is that, like, he wasn't disparaging Leffen. Like, him appealing is, in fact, in a lot of ways, he was apologizing. So it's like saying, like, he's, like, that his, videos caused the harassment. It's like, I mean, don't the people who are harassing have free will to be like, yeah, we're harassing, like, those people are harassing Leffen and not on behalf, like, it feels weird because Hacks' videos mention nothing, like, again, nothing disparaging about Leffen, so it's like, why could you fault Hacks for like any sort of death threats and that kind of stuff? And also, I'm pretty sure he was contacting TOs in private and they were just stonewalling him, so it's like, realistically, he has, like, he feels like he has no other outlet. Hacks poses no threat to people in his local scene. Why ban him locally? I'm going to reiterate that this is my personal views. These are my personal views, okay? And not necessarily a reflection of the rest of the staff who also made this decision and go beyond the reasoning written above. But we cannot keep someone unbanned when we know their actions are causing harm and harassment to other people in the scene. Again, he's not disparaging Leffen. He literally was appealing the ban and apologizing. Like, how? Okay. Especially when we set stipulations against that when unbanning him. I definitely do not believe Hacks is a threat personally to anyone at tournaments, local, regional, or national. He has never given me that impression, but his fans most certainly have. Okay, so then ban the fans. Like, banning Hacks doesn't ban his fans. Do you guys not realize that? Ban his fans and then let Hacks play. I don't think that is arguable given the death threats sent to top players or just the general harassment. We cannot abide a pattern of behavior that leads directly to death threats to another player, even if that player doesn't compete locally, if our local scene gives that behavior a foothold to continue. Him using NYC Melee as proof of his growth directly enables that. Again, like, everyone who's attended the event has said, like, he's been a positive influence. He's not, like, a threat. I think that he should be allowed to do that. To be like, hey, look at my time last year. Look at my year of good behavior. He should be allowed to say that. It feels like the TOs had a vendetta and were just looking for a reason to ban him. This one kind of pisses me off because of what I said earlier. A majority of these TOs have been friends with Hacks in the past and were the ones to vote to unban him in the first place when it would have been a lot easier to just let it sit as an indefinite ban, just like how everyone else did. They stuck out their necks for him, and after all this time they came back and we made a decision to permaban him based on all the events that have been going on since. NYC Melee actually caught a lot of flack when we unbanned him in the first place. It was seen as his friends being biased in unbanning him. We really tried to make it work, and trust me when I say this was an incredibly depressing decision to make. I'm sure I forgot a thing or two. I might edit this document to answer another common question or something. But really, I'm hopeful this will stop the discussion on my end. I've gotten a lot of harassment by Technicals fans and other people, not blaming Hacks for this at all, just for clarification. So I'm ready to move on at this point. Okay. Like, I'm upset with how this turned out as well. Alright, so what's the TLDR for today? This whole hack situation, completely BS. The TOs aren't doing themselves any favors by what they're doing, and really, I feel like the TOs their handling of this conduct is what incited the situation. Because when Hacks basically twiddles his thumbs for an entire year and they still won't unban him, like, no matter what, TOs just won't let him play. And then he feels cornered and pressured to like appeal it publicly. Like, I get why he would try to do that. But then Hacks isn't doing himself favors by dropping videos like this one. Hold up. Whoops. Like this one. It's like, this whole situation sucks, and I'm kind of done with it. So yeah, I mentioned how I was gonna turn my streams into stream highlights. I'm only gonna do my one on the Score Esports. I'm not gonna do the unban hack stream because that one's pretty outdated. I like how personal feelings are used in the reasoning for his ban than actual logic and reasoning. Yeah, that kind of sucks. At the same time, it's like up to the TO's discretion for like who they want at their events. But if you're banning people for like reasons people don't agree with, you're not gonna inspire confidence in the community. Like, when there's a huge portion of your local community that disagrees with the decision to ban hacks, it's like sometimes you need to make, like, I get sometimes you need to make decisions that goes against the grain because you feel that they're in the best interest of the community. I'm just sad because it's sad because if the stuff that happened, if last year, like with Hax's ban, if it played out differently, I don't think we would be here today. It's like when, like I mentioned how, mentions the trajectory. Like, I've been saddened by the trajectory this whole thing has taken. Like, the TOs need to realize that they were part of the reason why they set this trajectory in the first place. Like, why we're on this trajectory in the first. They influenced it as well, and they need to take ownership as well, and be like, hey, he was in an impossible position. And that's what makes us sad. Because if you're gonna say stuff like, oh, this ban is indefinite, but that does not mean permanent, but then just never unban him, like, no matter what. And then obviously Hax doesn't do himself favors by dropping his most recent video. I don't know. Make a separate video about this? Probably not. I might just leave it at the stream. It's like, what'd they say? You mentioned how there was no clear path for him to get unbanned. Like, that's part of the reason we're on this trajectory in the first place. Alright. Alright, I'm probably done with this. I'm just disappointed. Alright. I'm probably gonna end stream here. Thanks for tuning in on a random Sunday afternoon. Yeah. Sad this is the conclusion. But I guess the real 20XX was the friends we made along the way. Sus Sunday. Nigga, we can't have Sus Sunday after this. This is a funeral. Alright. I'll see you guys